Let's welcome Mr. Armin Van Buuren. And of course, Chris Ho.
Hello, hello. Good afternoon. Yes, my name is Chris Ho, in case you don't know, and for the benefit of Armin as well. I'm a radio DJ at Lush 99.5. I host the clubbing show there on Saturdays, 5 to 8 p.m. called Clubscape. And I've done interviews with various big names in the business like David Bowie, Mick Jagger, Nirvana. But in the past, it's all been in a small room in a radio studio, and never in front of an audience have I been given the chance to talk to a big superstar like Armin. It's my honor.
Thank you.
I believe that you were just in Bangkok last night and you're on a very busy schedule. Like after this, you're heading down to after Zukout.
Yeah, there's in this room there's two of my tour managers waiting for me just to drag me out of this room as soon as this interview is over, because I have to fly straight to Jakarta for the warehouse project. But I'll be back here tomorrow for Zukout, so super excited for that.
It's not the first time you're in Singapore, right?
No.
Do you remember the previous times?
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is also a good moment to give props to Lincoln and the people from Zukout, because what I really found is when I first played Zouk, this is not just a club owner that put some speakers and some sound in and some lights. I think Zouk can be really proud of what they achieved in an Asian market, being so consistent for so many years, even though there were some setbacks for them as well. But I think we should give the people from Zouk a round of applause, seriously. Because they meant a lot for my career, but also for all the other DJs. So I'm really proud to play the 5th time Zouk out Saturday. So it's super.
And just last weekend you were part of the Australia's Stereosonic Festival. How did that go?
Yeah, it was super amazing. I mean, really, I know there have been some things in the media, but for me, the experience was completely the opposite. It was amazing. Like one of my best tours I did in Australia. I mean, I did the closing set on all the main stages, and was there with my full team. I had Mr. Props coming over to do our song together, and we had the fireworks and everything. So it was just, it was a great experience. It was super.
Pardon me for asking, but you're Dutch, but you have an American accent?
It's because I'm always in America. Yeah.
Now, speaking of Dutch DJs, it seems like Holland has a way of producing trance and EDM DJs, Dash Berlin, Hardwell, Tiesto, Martin Garrix. What is it about the Dutch culture, you figure, that makes her DJs so well loved in the world?
Well, I get asked that question in almost every interview. I always answer, I think the Dutch people grew up listening to dance music. If I look at my best friends, two of my best friends when I was a kid, they were buying records. If they would have been playing guitar, I would probably be sitting here as a member of some band talking about my next single. But because my friends were into dance music, we had this friendly competition who made the best mixtapes and everything. So I was really influenced by that. I think it's important to see if you look at guys like Hardwell, Martin Garrix as well, they grew up listening to dance music. So dance music was already really big, early 90s. It was played on the radio. There were many festivals. I mean, as a kid, it was the cool thing to do because your parents hated it. It had the bass drum all the time. I remember my father walking up to my bedroom screaming, "Can you please listen to some other music?" I'm like, "No, because you hate it. I love it." That's what you do when you're 15, 16 years old. So,
But apart from that, I mean, they've also got to have a chance to play in public. I mean, is it because it is a lot easier to get licensing in Holland?
I don't know. I think Holland has always been in the middle of Europe. It's been very easy to travel to. I guess we also have a very good spirit of setting up labels, and I also want to credit organizations like ID&T, people from Dance Valley, Extrema, and also the labels, the record labels. Many good record labels were based in Holland, and they still are. So I think there's just a really good culture. I mean, also one of the most important summits next to the IMS, of course, is the Amsterdam Dance Event. So it just shows you that we take dance music very seriously in Holland.
Now, you are, as a performing DJ, you sold out the Madison Garden in 3 hours, while back home you entered the Dutch album chart at #1 with your 2008 album Imagine, and you recently played for the King and Queen as well. Wow. There must be like a Armin Van Buuren business empire back home. Give us an idea of what the enterprise is like.
Oh, you're referring to Armada Music, probably. Yeah, back in 2003, I started a label together with Michael Piron and David Lewis. Hence the name Armada. It's the first two letters of all our names. And at that point, we started the label because I felt I was with another label, which was a great label, but they weren't passionate about trance music. And I had a radio show just started in 2001 called The State of Trance, and I got all these great demos. So I just wanted a label to put those tracks. I didn't even want to make money with it. I just wanted those tracks out because then I could start playing them. You know, somebody pay money to actually put them on vinyl, so I could play the vinyl, you know, in my sets. And that's how we started Armada, and now it's grown into this massive thing. In 2004, we started another company called Cloud9 Music, in which I'm also a shareholder. And you know, the two companies combined now employ over 108 people. So it's become this massive company, and I'm really ashamed to say that I don't even know the first names of half of the staff. So it shows you that it's just grown into this massive thing. And but it's great. We feel like a family, and I'm really proud to say that a month ago, we opened our own club in our office. So we have a full club in our office just for press gatherings, the Friday afternoon drink. And, you know, I do a lot of interviews there. So it's just a more nice surrounding than just a simple office. And it's great because it really feels like a family. It feels like a home also for all the other artists that we work with. And I want to stress that Armada Music is not just about Armin Van Buuren. There's a lot of tracks on the label that get signed and released that I don't even hear, and I'm not actively involved in. Lost Frequencies, Are You With Me was a global smash that was signed by Armada Music, and you know we do a lot of deep house now as well. You name it. So, but it's just very exciting to be a small part of this thing that's just growing and see all this new talent coming, and it's amazing.
On your successful radio show, A State of Trance, you probably require an office itself administrating all the copyright payments.
Yeah.
And it helps that you did law, right? You graduated in law?
Yeah. Not many people know this, but I finished my law degree in 2002. Not actually using it, but it was really handy to have a law degree, to know something about... I remember when my professor walked into the second year of my degree, and he started signing this really boring incorporated tree. You know, this is the mother holding company that has 25% in this, and everybody was like, you know, yawn. And I even thought that. Fast forward 5 years later, I had a tree like that myself. So it was really good to know something about. It's also really good to know something about the basics of copyright law. I'm actually involved in a discussion on a European level with Frans Timmermans, the Vice President of the European Commission, about copyrights, the future of copyrights, and what we can expect from the government, and how we should treat copyright, which I think is a very important discussion to have. You know, it's a very accurate, discussion is very alive right now, especially now with Spotify and the free model and not. You know, that discussion goes on and on. So it's really good to know something about it. But to be honest with you, I never signed a contract apart from my own albums and own releases. I never signed a contract with artists. That's all been handled by Michael Piron, who's the CEO. And I'm just the guy, you know, in the background helping the back office with Armada, with signing new artists and all that sort of stuff. But I made a conscious decision. I wanted to be a DJ. I wanted to be a music producer because that's what excites me. I don't want to sit in an office talking to people about how many holidays they can have a year and stuff like that. That just doesn't excite me. So, but it's been it's been proven. Looking back at it, the two best decisions I made in my career was, one, to start a radio show. At that point, not a lot of people had a weekly radio show, and two, to set up Armada Music. I mean, it was a big gamble at that point because I invested all my money into a company, and I never knew if I was ever going to get that back.
Yeah. But when you first started out, was there a certain thing that struck you as a potential minefield, that, you know, a newcomer to this whole copyright issue, that you might want to share with some people who are just getting into copyright problems, so to speak, in the business?
Well, I think it's really important to know that some of the copyright discussion is something went horribly wrong in that whole discussion, because we had the Berner Convention in, I think it's 1890. It's a long time ago. And we decided that if I whistle a song... All right, that's a pretty unique song, right? If somebody copies it, we decided by law, all the countries that signed the Berner Convention, that song I just whistled is my... If somebody else sings the song or reproduces that song, right, basically I can sue that person because you're not allowed. That's what we agreed on. And it's funny because we have that law, and I think there's no law in the world that's been, how do you say that? A law that's been broken more than the copyright law, right. which I found silly. So I think it's really important to go back to the basic of why do we actually have copyright? What's the idea behind copyright? I mean, we don't have to have copyright, right? It's just, it's an ongoing, I mean, I think it's really important also for the young people to understand what copyright actually means. It means, the basic of copyright is very simple. You have an idea, you put that idea into, you play a piano, or you write something, or you make a movie, or you make a picture. Because you make it, you own the rights to that. And that's the basic of copyright. And I think we have to go back to that to explain to younger people that it's not normal to have free music. There's no such thing as free music. There's no such things as free cars. There's no such thing as free bread or free drinks. It doesn't exist. You know, it's everything you want in life, something you have to pay for.
It's just difficult because intellectual property can be such a gray area, and I guess you have to be...
Well, that's a funny thing. It is not a gray area.
It's not.
No, I disagree with you. It's not a gray area.
I mean a gray area in terms of what you're saying and what the law dictates.
Yeah. Well, we treat it as a gray area, but it's not, you know, we need help from the governments. I mean, for example, one of the revolutions I think that's happening right now in music, and you have to think about this. This is really a revolution. Yeah. People do not longer want to own music. They don't want to own music. They want to have access to music when they want, where they want. They don't want to own a CD anymore. They want to sit in their car, or you go jogging, or you're with your friends. You want to press play on the new Coldplay album, or you want to press play on the new Major Lazer track. That's what you want to do. So that's a revolution. Another revolution is, I think, is the realization that streaming is the future. So we're past the whole illegal downloads discussion. That's also what I told the people in Brussels. And now we come to a really important point, because I said to Frans Timmermans, I said, look, the governments have been telling us that we, especially in Europe, we have to have legal alternatives. We have legal alternatives. All the masters of Armada are available on Apple Music, on Spotify, on Deezer. Where is the government? When are they starting to help us with illegal services like Popcorn Time? I mean, no disrespect, but that is really ruining. I mean, you have a beautiful thing like Netflix, right? All these people, they work really hard to license their track. All the makers of these fantastic series and movies, they get paid every time somebody watches something on Netflix. Same thing goes with Spotify. And then you still have a thing like Popcorn Time, ruining it for the people who are trying to make a fair business. So that's what I told Frans Timmermans. And I still think it's really remarkable that just because I have a name as a DJ, and just because I had a little bit of success in the past, that I was there in Brussels. The first thing I said in Brussels on the headquarters was, it's really strange that I have to be here to explain a law that's so simple, that why do I need to be here to tell you what you already know? And it's a funny discussion, I find. But the more you start thinking about it, the more bizarre I find the whole debate.
Let's go back to the original revolution and just buy albums.
Well, you don't need to buy it.
School.
You don't need to buy it.
No, I want to.
If you want to, you can. That's great. Then, you know, the artist will be even more happy. But now you have Spotify or you have Apple Music, which is great.
Well, you've got a very successful radio show, State of Trance, and it's been on since 2001. It goes out to 100 stations in over 80 countries and reaching over 20 million listeners per week. That's mind-blowing. Next year, I believe you'll be celebrating your 15th anniversary. You're planning a big show for 9 hours, I hear. You've got Gareth Emery and Paul van Dyk on the bill already. What else is in store for that show?
Well, I'm celebrating 750 episodes of the show. I want to start by saying that I'm really thankful for all the fans for supporting A State of Trance, because I thought 500 would have been a good number to stop. But the music keeps progressing, and I always said that for me it's not some Olympic challenge to reach episode 1000. I just want to, as long as the music keeps developing and as long as I still feel the music, then I'll keep supporting it. So the way we're going to celebrate is we're going to do one massive party at the end of February in the Jaarbeurs in Utrecht, which will be the world's biggest trance event. That will sell out, so I'm super happy about that. 4 areas of trance music, including Who's Afraid of 138, a more harder psytrance-oriented area, which I'm really a fan of, big fan of. And end of January, we actually celebrate the actual episode 750 in Toronto, in Canada, because that's where the home of the trance addicts are. There's a lot of lovers for trance music, so I've decided to go there this time. Hopefully one of the next episodes again, and one of the next celebrations, I could come back to Asia. I mean, the one that we did in Kuala Lumpur was absolutely amazing. I was really blown away by that. But having said that, right now it would be very easy for me to program 12 State of Trance events around the world. But I made the decision, I told my management I don't want to do that. Because I don't want to sort of cash in on the State of Trance. I want to show the fans that I'm very serious about the brand still. And it's not just about cashing in or doing 8 events in 8 weeks again. I want to make sure that when people buy a ticket, that they get value for money with a good lineup that's different, with a new theme, new production. And that's something that we pride ourselves in. I think it's all about the content, about the actual event. If you give something to your fans, they will give something back. That's why I always invest most of my time every week into the radio show, making sure that we have the latest tracks, that I can tell the people something about the music that I'm playing, about this new up-and-coming talent that we need to keep an eye on, or a classic that's been reworked by somebody. So I think the fans will always appreciate if you really invest into content and the actual show, the experience.
On top of that, next year you're also planning an Embrace World Tour to launch to promote your latest album, Embrace. How do you feel about your latest album as in the context of your discography?
Well, I can say honestly, and I haven't told this to many people yet, but I think this is the most happy time in my entire career, because I don't have to do stuff anymore I don't want to do. I don't do events that I don't want to do. I don't do interviews I don't want to do. And it also goes for music, I found out, because I had a bit of a tough time when I was DJ Mag's #1. I had a lot of pressure on my shoulders, because I felt that, every time I walked on a stage, people sort of expected the room to explode. Oh, there's the #1. And I wasn't Armin Van Buuren anymore. I was the #1 DJ in the world. But what does that actually mean,
It means you hold a record.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, for a lot of people, I'm not the #1 DJ in the world. There's a lot of people who aren't into trance music, and I think it's important to realize that. So I actually went to see a coach to talk a little bit about it, because I was really stressed. I couldn't sleep, and now that sort of fell off my shoulders. And that's what I said with Embrace. The message with Embrace is I wanted to rediscover myself as a producer in the studio as well. So the idea behind Embrace is actually quite simple. I wanted to embrace new sounds, quite literally new instruments. So if you look on the cover of the album, something I really pride myself in, it's been shot by Anton Corbin, the photographer. And you see instruments lying on the car, and all those instruments were actually used on the album, like a trumpet, sound of a trumpet. I never heard a trance track with a trumpet. Spanish guitar. I always dreamed of working with a Spanish guitar player, because I think the sound of Spanish guitar really reminds me of Ibiza, the Balearic sound, the more classic trancey sound. So I went on a mission, and the only thing that I promised myself is that if I'm not having fun, I'll stop doing it. And that's what I did with Embrace. I just had so much fun in creating the album, working with so many different people, working in, I think, 20 different studios with, so many. At one point, I was even directing a little classical orchestra, 6 string players, and I was re-recording the Marcato strings that were part of Another You, the track that I did with Mr. Probs. And I told Mr. Probs that if we were going to release the track, that I wanted to have real Marcato strings instead of coming from the Native Instruments one. So I hired a string orchestra, and I wasn't hearing the dun, dun. So I went into the vocal booth, and then I was like, no, it has to be more like this. So I was conducting an orchestra, even though I didn't know what I was doing. But they were actually playing it like I was telling them to do. So it's a learning experience. And I think as an artist, as a musician, as a human being in general, I think it's always important to always focus on education yourself, no matter what you do. If you're working on radio, if you're working on events, it's always important to educate yourself. There's so much out there to know, to learn. One of the things I've recently done, I subscribe to macprovideo.com, one of those websites, and they have a great app. And it sounds really silly, but you can go to school again. So I'm teaching, when I'm on the plane, I don't watch so many movies anymore. I go do all these tutorials of the plugins I already own, but there's so much to learn about those plugins. So instead of watching movies on the plane, I spend a lot of time educating myself about a lot of stuff that I don't know. So that's, to give a long answer to your question, that's the thing about Embrace. The idea was to educate myself and to learn a lot of new things.
Well, that said, actually, I was going to ask you also if how do you decide on the balance between giving your fans what they want and taking the proverbial artistic risk, so to speak, or is that not even an issue?
That's a very good question. I mean, my fans are very dear to me. Especially trance fans can be very particular about what they want to hear. And I follow the debate on Twitter and Facebook. And to be honest, I think my fans are great because I don't get so much criticism as some of the other DJs out there. So I want to thank my fans for that. And I think, but I listen, and I'll tell you something really that comes really from my heart. I do read all the criticism.
You all do what? Sorry?
I do read all the criticism.
Oh, read.
And I know exactly what's going on. But I also think that you have to understand, this is not to defend myself, but it's just to explain, like, as an artist, right, I think it's important that you do something that you like. I cannot walk around in circles. If I look at past tracks of mine, they're all my babies, right? And one of the tracks my fans really like is Burned with Desire, for example. I pride that track. I co-wrote it with Justine, and it was great to be in the studio with her. But I can't make that track again. I can't be walking around in circles, because that would be just like, putting the same kick drum in, the same bass line, the same, change the chord sequence. I mean, it would be very easy to grab the entire Logic session of This Is What It Feels Like, the song that got me a Grammy nomination. It would be so easy just to open that session, throw away all the notes, and start using the same. I thought about that, But where's the challenge in that? You hear other artists doing that, and I'm not criticizing them. It's fine. If that's their way, then they should go for it. But for me as an artist, I see it as a mission not to use the same kick drum all the time, not to use the same clap or the same crash or the same bass line. I want to reinvent myself with everything that I do. And will I lose fans that way? Yes, I will, I'm sure. But my fans know, my real fans know, that I will always be true to my original sound. And it's an investigation, There will be tracks of mine that you'll love. There'll be tracks of mine that you may not like so much. But it's all a journey towards another track. It's learning new things.
It's not just the point of doing it for its own sake, surely, as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why I learned, again, that I want to be, and that's why I said I'm so happy in my career now, that I actually have the guts to go into the studio with a band like Kensington, who come from a rock background. But it's a challenge to see how they make music, what's so particular about their sound. And by working with them, I learned so much again, and that knowledge I'll use on another tune. So, you keep progressing that way. You keep learning, and that's the most important thing. But having said that, my heart is with trance. I'll never leave that, and that's what I always will play.
Now, tomorrow night you'll be spinning at Zouk Out. As a DJ known for your marathon sets, when you play a much shorter set like Zouk Out tomorrow, does it feel like you even got to work harder? Conversely, because the fans will be calling for more when the stage manager says, "Stop next,"
Yeah, it sucks. No, maybe you want to ask the Zouk people if I can do an 8-hour set main stage one day. I'll do it, I mean, I guess it's also, we live now in the times of social media, right? I mean, I always, I made a joke to my tour manager the other day about Facebook. When the kids nowadays, especially young, they're at festivals not raving, they're like this on festivals on their phone. And then the drop comes and they go like this. And then the drop is there. They fist pump for 15 seconds and they send it on their Facebook account. So
I've seen that too.
Yeah.
In Zouk itself.
Have you ever seen the amount of phones that people hold up when an intro comes?
Steve Aoki.
I'm like, my God, man, just enjoy the event. I mean, your friend next to you is videotaping the exact same thing. Just go to his Facebook page. You'll see it tomorrow. But that's the sign of the times. I mean, again, it's not dissing those people, because this is the world we live in. We live in the world of our phones. I mean, you hate it or love it, it's what it is. But it's also the attention span. A lot of the young people that grow up right now, they want to have it now. They want to have the drop now, the break now. I want to hear the vocal now. So what you see is that the extended mix of a track sooner will be shorter than the radio edit. Yeah, I see some tracks at 2.5 minutes, and then you have a radio edit of 3.5 minutes. That's how it goes. Everything goes so fast right now. And I come from the old school. Listen to grandpa, kids. No, I think there is something to say about an 8-hour set. I always compare it to Christmas dinner. You know, you're not starting Christmas dinner with the dessert, do you? I like to build my sets. That's just who I am, you know. But, you know, compare my short sets as a visit to sushi place, you know, something quick. So it's and that's actually what I like about DJing. It's never the same. I never play the same set twice, and I actually enjoy playing shorter sets. I actually enjoy playing those quick mashups and everything. But it's like there's no build up in it. It's just like you throw it out there. It can be fun, but in all honesty, give me a set of 3 hours and more, and that's when I'm most comfortable.
Because it's less a journey.
Yeah, for me, but I guess I'm old school like that.
Right. Do you remember the first time you crossed from a small venue to DJing for a huge arena event? What tips would you give to some DJs who might be on the verge of that crossover as well?
Yeah, it's a very different thing playing a club and playing a massive arena. I mean, what I like about playing in the clubs, I mean, here in this room, I can look you guys in the eyes, and I will still see the last row as well, and I can see if those people are having a good time. One of the things I learned from my boss in Leiden in the Netherlands, where I played in a really small bar, not even bigger than this stage, is that you're doing a good job. Not if the people in front of you are jumping, but if the people at the bar are head nodding, then you're doing a good job. And you can't see that if you play for such an enormous amount of people. It's really hard to make a connection with a crowd if there's 160,000 people there. You know, there's a few tricks of the trade that you can see is, you know, unfortunately on big festivals the attention span is usually shorter. The energy is different than when you play a club. I guess it's also a little bit of investigation. Every gig that I do, I always go online. I look on my emails, see what kind of tracks people expect me to play. It's good to know a little bit in advance what people sort of want to hear. Not that I'm a jukebox. I'm not always playing all the requests, but it's good to know what kind of direction people expect from your set.
One last question. At this point, having achieved so much and being at the top of the game, what concerns would you say are driving Armin Van Buuren? What makes Armin Van Buuren tick?
What makes me tick? Well, we already went to the discussion about the illegal downloads discussion, so we're past that. Second, I think this is really important to know because you know globally the people are having a lot of discussions about the use of illegal substances. I was actually the face of a campaign of a really famous beer brand called Dance More, Drink Slow. I think it is, but this is just the person I am. I think it's really important that people learn about their own responsibilities. I mean, unfortunately, there's always a few people out there who ruin it for the rest. And this is something that we'll have to live with and something that I'm afraid will never change completely. And I want to thank the governments for thinking with the organizers about that. I mean, as a DJ, I always find it a little bit frustrating that the organizer gets the blame for everything. You know, when I can just go there as a DJ, shine, look good, get paid a lot of money, and walk off the stage again, no matter what happens. And I think it's unfair. I think we as DJs always should also stand up and help the promoters by telling to the people, look after each other. I mean, seriously, guys. I mean, there's always going to be illegal substances out there. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't take it. I know, come to a festival, have a few drinks, it's fine, be with your friends, and look after each other. I mean, I think the most important thing is that we have a responsibility for each other, to look after each other. If we want this dance music thing to grow, if we want this beauty of dance music to be even bigger than it already is, then we really need to look after each other better. If you see something on a festival that's not okay, inform the authorities, inform the security guards. They can help you. But without the people, without you guys or without the fans that point to these incidents that may happen, this industry cannot grow. And I think it's important to point the people to their own responsibilities. I mean, an organizer of an event can only do so much. You know, he can have search dogs, he can have, you know, security, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's the fans themselves that need to look after. If you really want this, if you really want dance music to grow, and if you're serious about it, stop taking that illegal shit and move on.
Well, I think that I think that from today's session, you can tell that if there's anyone who's up there on the Armin Van Buuren Cloud9 cloud, it's you guys. And we got to learn that the DJ is really a humanitarian DJ.
Thank you, thank you.
I think we have about 8 minutes of Q&A, so let's toss the mic around if anyone's got questions.
Hey, my name's Akshay, and we spoke about this in the morning on a panel called Protect the Dance Floor. And I think it'd be pretty interesting to actually get a bunch of like-minded people to talk about the same thing, which is appreciate music just for what it is, minus all the other stuff. And would it be something that you would be interested in participating as well?
Well, absolutely. I mean, like I said, I've been the face of the campaign of Dance More, Drink Slow by a big beer brand. So I'm already involved into that discussion. And also to show governments that the DJs take the responsibilities as well, not walking away from the... I mean, it's not something I like to talk about. I mean, I'd rather talk to you about the new version of Logic or something. But it's something we have to deal with. It's a fact of the matter. And I think it's unfair that the promoters take all the blame for negative stuff that happens when we as DJs get to shine on their events and just walk away from the shit that's going on. But I think it's important for me as a DJ always to also express this to young kids, because when you're young, you may do stupid shit. And people may listen to me earlier than to some other authority or whatever. So I think it's just very important to be involved in that discussion. So yeah.
Hi, my name's Mike Henderson. My DJ name's Endo. I work for Native Instruments. I was wondering how you feel about the whole SoundCloud war on DJs shutting down DJs' accounts. Should DJs be allowed to publicly perform and even put recordings up of tracks that they bought?
Yeah, I think there should be a general license for that. I mean, I'm an owner of a record company, so I cannot say music is for free. I mean, there are some owners of record companies that said the same music will be for free, but it's not. I don't think music should be for free. I think what is happening right now is that only since a couple of years, the streaming thing is happening. And you see that the market is sort of still struggling to find the right modus to get into this new model. I strongly support new DJs uploading their mixes, but I also strongly support the artists that need to get paid for it. And there are systems for that, like fingerprinting, and there's a lot of beautiful things happening. So I'll just say my answer to your question is hang on there, kids. We need to find out a general license thing. I just hope that the major labels as well, the big names out there. I mean, we as Armada, everything's available. We just want to have a reasonable compensation for the use of our masters. And if DJs want to make tracks and they want to use tracks from Armada music, they can just send a licensing request. That's what we do as well. If I make a mix, I send a license request for a track that we don't own to the record label. I just did a mix of more than 100 tracks in less than 2 hours that will come out on December 18th. There's a lot of work to be done, but I know that all the artists that I use their work from are actually getting paid. I think that's fair. So I think we just have to wait for that to sort of figure itself out. I understand that for some people it's frustrating that their mixes get taken offline, and I know that because some of my mixes have been taken offline, and I take pride in my mixes, and I really want to share my music with other people. But I hope that the streaming services will provide a solution for that, and I hope that answers your question. Cool. Okay.
Next.
Hi, I'm Brendan, and I go by Bren Lam, that's my artist name. So I'm kind of curious because you recently had your Intense tour, Armin Only, and you collaborated with a lot of the artists to perform live. And I believe for Embrace, you might be considering of having artists to perform with you live as well. So what are the difficulties you face between a normal DJ set and having live elements during your performances?
Well, if you do a live performance of a track, I think that the fans expect the performance to almost be better than the original track. One of the difficult things about a live performance is that you have, for example, problems like feedback, or the vocal performance not being so good as the original track, because in the studio you're able to fix certain things. I found the answer to it. The answer is called rehearsals. So for the intense show, yeah, it sounds stupid, but you need to rehearse it. I mean, I made a mistake in the past by just giving a vocalist a microphone that was plugged into my DJM 900, and then you get something like, ah, and then people in the crowd are going, oh, I think the original track was better. So you want to avoid that. So
would auto-tune help?
You can't use that word, bro. Can't use that word. If you say auto-tune, you have to whisper it. Gosh. No, we don't use auto-tune live. One of the things I did for the last show, I was actually doing a tryout. For the Intense tour, I worked with a theater director. And this was the first time that I did that. His name is Joost T. He was a little bit older guy, close to 60 years old, but he had a lot of experience in the world of theater, but knew nothing about dance music. He was fascinated about it, but he said, okay, if we want to do this show, you have to promise me we'll do tryouts. Tryouts? So as a DJ, we hired a big hall, twice as big as this one, in Den Bosch, and we put the stage there that we were going to use on the tour. So all the artists could rehearse. So we had a vocal coach there as well. We invented a system with time code, so the artist can actually have a click on his ears. And we rehearsed, and we did 2 tryouts. And the good thing about the tryouts is a lot of things went horribly wrong during those tryouts. But because they went wrong, we could rehearse that again, fix it. And then when we went live with the Intense tour, the vocal performances were a lot better. So yeah, the answer is rehearsing.
I think we have time for one more question.
Okay. Hi, my name is Elon from Aurora. I'm a Singaporean. Just have a quick last question, because I'm more concerned into like the China and Asia market, because as of now, like I'm based in Taiwan, a lot of people, they do not know like what you are performing. Like example, a lot of people know Armin Van Buuren, but when I ask them what genre, they will just say, oh, EDM, progressive house. So my question is like, what are the potentials that you feel like Asia, how long will it take for Asia to really understand what electronic music is all about?
Well, let me start by saying that, if you ask me what I am, I say trance, but if somebody puts another label on me, it's fine. You can put whatever label you want on my head. I don't care, as long as you enjoy the music, I always say. I think the Asian market is one of the last markets to actually really grow. I hope that the Chinese government will be loyal with helping us with getting the right permits. I wanted to do a gig in Macau today. I couldn't because my crew couldn't get a visa. I think that's just a sad thing. If we want to help this industry further, we do need the help from the government to make this. So that's what's really holding it back right now, I feel. Another thing is that I really feel that the Asian youth, especially the young people, this is what I saw in Kuala Lumpur as well, they really want this to happen. They're super excited about it, and they really want dance music to grow. So the only thing that we can hope is that promoters get a permission from the local governments. I know that there's initiatives enough to make it bigger. I'm really happy that Zouk Out happens again. There was a lot of bad things about Zouk Out in the past, but they're all past, and it's happening again this weekend. So I'm super excited about that. So I just hope that if the governments collaborate and we can do more great, bigger events, but also smaller events in clubs, I think it's really important that the club scene keeps going, especially in Asia, because that's where people get in touch with music first before they go to a festival usually. So yeah, that's my only hope, and internet, of course, will help us. I mean, some countries still restrict internet. I think it's the laws are not the same everywhere. So I just hope that ban will be lifted. And that's a special message also to all the young people out there. I mean, you're the future governments. You're the future prime ministers. And so I hope you guys can help us out with restricting that so people can listen to the music that they want and they want to enjoy. So does it answer your question? Cool, okay.
On that positive note, a big thank you for coming to the IMS Summit, and also a big thank you to our special guests, Armin.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks a lot, man. Thank you.